Another week, another Cowboys game, and this could finally be the end of the Cowboys season. The most talked about team, the most viewed team in the NFL is, of course, not the best team in the NFL. And after falling on their face and falling flat offensively against the Philadelphia Eagles, they returned to take on the New York Giants. Take on the Washington Redskins. If the Eagles beat the Giants, it's a moot point. The Eagles go to the playoffs, and the Cowboys stay home. Okay? If the Cowboys, in America's Game of the Week on Fox, beat the Redskins and the Eagles lose, somehow they moonwalk their way, they backpedal their way into the playoffs. But the big discussion for the Cowboys has not actually been on the field, right? Some of it has been based upon the play calling, the scheming, the coaching. But the season got underway with discussions about Amari Cooper, Dak Prescott, Zeke Elliott, and their contract situations, right? Remember, Zeke was sitting out, and instead of signing Dak or instead of signing Amari, they went and signed their middle linebacker to a long-term contract. Feel like a team-friendly deal. So to this point, even after the first 3 games of the season, I was watching Undisputed, and there was discussion about, do you just give him the money now? Remember, Dak bet on himself. Dak has played this thing out and allowed the season to play out and us to decide, hey, what do we think he's worth? And then he and Jerry Jones can decide what he's worth. Most people believe that the reason Dak is slow playing it is because Pat Mahomes' contract is going to come in, and it's going to blow every contract out of the water. Plus, Deshaun Watson's contract is going to come in. So you start with Carson Wentz's deal, you start with Jared Goff's deal, and then you start adding numbers to it. And you may not get to Mahomes, but that somewhere is in the soft landing ground. Something interesting about Dak Prescott is coming into the season, it wasn't about his stats. No one mentioned his stats because his stats were not really awe-inspiring. There weren't numbers that you could point to and say, well, look, he's just as good as this guy or just as good as that guy. What you would say about Dak Prescott is, hey, man, you may not think that he's great. You may think he's closer to a 4th-round talent, the round that he was drafted in, than he is, the first round that Carson Wentz and Jared Goff were drafted in. But at the end of the day, Dak Prescott is, in fact, a winner. And he's a leader, right? He's a winner. He's a leader. Trust me. The only thing that matters for quarterbacks is wins and losses and leadership, intangibles. Colin said at this very chair, right, that quarterback is a position of leadership, and he's not wrong. Here's the problem with that. Coming into the year, 2 of the 3 years in which he's been quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys, they've won the division. Helps his argument. Really does. This year, the Redskins are a joke, right? Fired their coach midseason. They didn't want to play Dwayne Haskins. He wasn't ready. He was handpicked by the owner. I know they've won a couple games late, but nobody thinks the Redskins are an abject disaster. Dwayne Haskins is essentially their 4th choice as quarterback. If you go back to when Alex Smith broke his leg in half, and then Colt McCoy, and then they go and get Case Keenum, and they tried to use McCoy. They wanted anybody but Dwayne Haskins to play, and Dwayne Haskins is playing. That's how good the Redskins are. The New York Giants are in a similar predicament. They're likely to fire their head coach. They decided to stick by Eli Manning when they drafted Saquon Barkley. Then they drafted Daniel Jones and played him earlier than anyone could have expected because they're just not competitive. So in a division which is the worst in the NFL, with a Cowboys team that anyone, even the most ardent Cowboys hater, would point out, it's a really talented, on paper, a talented team. And Jerry Jones believes a Super Bowl caliber talented team. They sit at 7-8 heading into the last game of the season with a relatively soft schedule. Right? A relatively soft schedule. Like, you can tell me that the Patriots on the road is a tough game. I'll agree with you. But they also got the Dolphins early in the season. That's a win. They got the Jets at home. That should have been a win. There's plenty of games that should have propelled them, especially when you have 4 guaranteed wins, and they actually beat the Eagles at home. So that's 5 wins to start. There's no reason that they shouldn't be at least above 500 and have their second straight 10-win seasons. That'd be the first time they did that since 1996. So the argument for Dak betting on himself is like, look, if you want to tell me that forget the stats, and stats are good this year, except when they actually play the good teams. If you want to tell me it's about winning and losing, if you want to tell me it's about leadership, why do we do this thing where he only gets credit when they have good years? Again, I don't actually believe all of the blame rests on the shoulders of Dak Prescott. I don't even know if most of the blame should be on the shoulder. Last weekend, he was crummy. He had guys running open, and he misfired. And maybe he's hurt. Okay, maybe he didn't like. Maybe the wide receivers broke off the routes early. Maybe there was a miscommunication. I don't know. Maybe the weather was bad. Whatever. I'm not going to put all the blame. On the other hand, I also wouldn't have given him nearly as much credit for the 13-win rookie season as he got. That was a dominant team. The dominant team with a relatively easy schedule, and he did exactly what they asked him to do. Nothing more, nothing less, and they won 13 games. Tony Romo is the better quarterback on that roster, and Tony Romo likely would have beaten the Packers at home, even though Dak brought him back from down 21 points. I wouldn't have given him as much credit as people gave him, which is why I won't give him as much blame. However, if you are the guy, or if Dak is making the argument, hey, end of the day, won the division 2 times. Yeah, but in the year in which it's easiest to win the division, the Eagles are mired with injuries, your schedule is soft, the Giants and the Redskins are non-competitive, and you can't get to above 500? And you want me to pay you $35 million? $40 million a year? Get out of here. I want you to take a listen. This is Dak Prescott. This is kind of an interesting answer. He was asked about the possibility of Jason Garrett coaching his last game with the Cowboys. That's a weird answer, isn't it? Is it that hard to go like, hey, I don't think it should be Jason Garrett's last game. I think Jason Garrett should be back here next year. I want to be back here next year. And when he says it's a business and I'm learning as I go, it seems like he's calling out the loyalty of the Dallas Cowboys. Hey, I can't get a new deal? Guess I'm learning as I go. I guess I know where I stand now. Guess I know how we roll here in Dallas. This is my first time going through it. This could be my last game. No, it's not going to be your last game. They have a franchise tag. This is a very easy negotiation for Jerry Jones if he wants to draw a hard and fast stance, right? Which is, hey, here's the number. This is reasonable. We like you. We think you're good. You can be Cowboy for life. Or you can sign the franchise tag, which is $26 million or so. And for a guy who's a 4th-round draft pick, I understand that Dak carries that bag of chips on his shoulder. I do think it's fascinating, right? That we're in this day and age where people make it out like Lamar Jackson had no shot of making it. Everybody said no to Lamar Jackson, and he was like Dak Prescott was a 4th-round draft pick. Lamar Jackson was a 1st-round draft pick. I mean, a little difference there. But look, I think the Cowboys have the hand in the relationship now. They have an upper hand in negotiation. They waited this thing out, and sometimes you bet on yourself and you don't hit. You don't win. You don't get a Joe Flacco. Right, Flacco won the Super Bowl, so the Ravens gave him a huge contract that, of course, they lived to regret, which is what the Cowboys should not do. They'll probably regret the Zeke Elliott contract. Everybody does on running back. Don't believe me, ask the Rams. That's the Jets. And you just do. But we do the same argument with LeBron James. Right? Oh, this is leadership. This is leadership. Okay. Well, if LeBron's leadership is so unspeakably great, if he always makes his team better, what the hell happened last year? You can tell me all you want about all the games and the records and how the Lakers played when he did not play, when he was hurt. But when he returned, they lost to the likes of Phoenix, who was terrible, Indy, Dallas, Memphis. the bottom of the league. I like congruent arguments. Congruent arguments. I'm okay if you tell me that Dak Prescott is responsible for wins more so than stats. I'm okay with that. But when the stats are good and the wins and losses are not, the losses are there, then he has to gain that same level of responsibility for the losses. You don't only take credit for the wins. This isn't a political debate, right? Where you can go out and say only the positive numbers and not say the negatives. No, that's not how it works. A congruent argument is, hey, look, stabilize the quarterback situation. Maybe we didn't handle the leadership this year all that well. Take responsibility for not having a good season. That's on me. I'll take credit for the 2 great seasons, and I'll take some of the blame for the 2 disappointing seasons.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.